today we are going to discuss about how to prepare for the PhD entrance exams. As you know, many people are preparing for that. In this COVID situation, they are preparing, but still they are not getting good responses. So because of that, we got a PhD candidate who actually working in a very good organizations. So we'll be talking with her and we'll clear out some doubts. So let's get started. Yes. Hello, this is Ajay, and today we are going to discuss about like some doubts we are having related to the how to prepare for PhD positions in top 10 universities. So there will be some question by question. So if our audience is having any question, they can ask in a comment section. So let's get this session started. So, Melina, first tell us about yourself, like who you are and where are you working, and a little introduction about yourself so that we can get a full story. Yeah, you can start
Yeah,
with Melina.
absolutely. So, hello everybody. My name is Melina, and I'm currently a PhD student with Imperial College London in the Institute of Cancer Research. I'm Greek, and I was brought up in Greece, and I was largely educated in English throughout my school career. And this is one of the reasons I came to the UK, originally for my bachelor's degree, 2016 now. I got my BSc in Biological Studies with a focus on immunology from the University of Edinburgh in Scotland. And then I moved down to London for my MSc at Imperial College London in Bioinformatics and Theoretical Systems Biology. And from then on, I just really loved Imperial College. I love the collaborative environment, all the people you meet. So I decided to apply for PhD positions within London, but most specifically within Imperial, so I could stay on. And now my PhD is very interdisciplinary. It's at the forefront of biomedical devices. I am a member of the Electronic and Electrical Engineering department at Imperial College, as well as the Department of Cancer Biology at the Institute of Cancer Research in London. So in summary, because I know this is very contradicting to some people, I work on a lab-on-chip technology for the development of a cancer diagnostic device. Yeah.
Amazing, Melina. Amazing. We are very happy to hear you, and we have so many doubts we'll be asking and discussing about that things.
Absolutely, thoroughly.
Yeah. So the first question here comes is how did you prepare for your PhD program at ICL, and is the same kind of preparation is required for other institutes like MIT, Stanford, or CMU, and some other institute? So we just need to know like how did you prepare for that, your journey? Yes.
So largely, I can only comment on the application processes of PhDs in the UK, because I did not apply to the States or Canada, but I do hope to in the future. So the application process in the UK is largely the same for most universities and institutes. They require a CV, a short cover letter, or otherwise personal statement, explaining why you want to do this degree specifically, why you want to study at this university, and a few references. And that could possibly be from some of your previous professors or employers. And it's very important that you ask the right people for this along your journey. And throughout my time at the University of Edinburgh, for example, but then again, during my master's at Imperial, I was really fortunate to be able to cultivate relationships with the people I had worked with throughout my degree on mini projects, on rotations, people just working in the same offices. And that could be, it was PhDs, postdocs, some lecturers you will have had. And, you know, sometimes it's obviously difficult and you can be really scared to approach some of the lecturers, for example, when you're an undergraduate student. But it's really helpful in the future to ask your questions, to let them know who you are and that you're interested in their subject, because then on, you know, you can always email them to possibly ask for advice. Like, these are the people you should be asking any questions you have. Would they do it all over again? Would they go into academia and a PhD? Is there something that maybe they always look for when they get CVs and they get applications? And that might be something that you might not know about. But that is so unique to the individual. and maybe asking them how did they get there today, because not everybody has the same path. A lot of people in academia have also previously been through industry, and they really have a good opinion and appreciation for both, and they know the difficulties of both, how you can transfer yourself from industry to academia and vice versa. So anybody you meet along the way in universities is such a good contact to keep. One piece of advice I would give definitely is to get a second opinion. It can be very difficult to know whether your CV is concise and clear enough, appealing to your prospective employer. So, for example, a friend or a colleague who has had really good feedback on their CV, they'll be really helpful in this department. But then again, like, take a look at their feedback, and sometimes you might not agree. You have to be critical about it. You can't incorporate everybody's feedback and make everybody happy. At the end of the day, your CV really portrays yourself. So you really need to be happy with the way it portrays you to your prospective employer. What do you want them to see? You know? And you are the person who will have done most of the research about the university you want to work at, the professor, the program. So you know what you're applying for. Nobody else knows it as well as you do, I think. Yeah. Also, one thing I would definitely say, and I've had people give me this advice as well, like, you cannot use a universal CV for all positions. You have to adapt it depending on what you're applying for. For example, when applying to the MSc program to bioinformatics, I found it was important to call attention to the fact that I had previous exposure to bioinformatics through a work experience, that my previous work showed a keen interest in it. My reading around it was more extensive than as if I was a complete newcomer to the subject. I think if I had focused my CV, for example, on wet lab techniques, which I had also had exposure to, but it was not relevant to this degree, I don't think that the department I was applying to would have taken the same interest in me. So from my experience, they want to see that you have a true interest in the subject, that you're passionate about it, and that if they take you on, you will apply yourself to the subject. So it's not just a means to an end, it's something you are truly wanting to do as an investment to yourself, your career, and your future. And in the same way, the CV is so important. The motivational letter is probably even more so. It's your opportunity to call attention to the most applicable parts of your CV and just pinpoint them out and why these will make you stand out from the crowd. Because, I mean, if we're honest, a lot of people who go into a PhD have a very strong academic background, and I think that comes naturally from being interested in the subject. Inevitably, if you read around it, you want to work on it, it's going to come across as a strong background for it. But it will really make you stand out to be able to embellish on these little parts of your CV where you say, oh, I worked on this, but what did I get out of it? Did you take something extra out of it? You might have heard this lecture by a really popular professor, for example. But it really matters that you were not just sitting at that lecture theater, that you really took what they said, maybe read up on it, asked yourself some questions on the subject and why that might interest you further. I think that really makes a difference when you're writing it up.
Amazingly answered, very beautiful. You know, like our doubt is clear. Like your answer is so precise, so descriptive. We are able to get so many points from your answer. Like when we are preparing for some interviews, like we are if you want to apply for 5 different PhDs, so your CV should not be like same. It should not be universal. So for 5 positions, we have to make your 5 CVs different one after researching about that organization and the university, like that university and professor, what they are doing based on that, right?
I think yes, because in any position you will have had work experience. You can always find different. You will have learned a bunch of things. So many. They do not fit concisely in a CV, and a CV should be a single page, maybe two. Um, they really don't. I mean, of course, applications have thousands of people applying, hundreds, sometimes thousands, and they really don't have the time or the energy to go through every single little thing you've written. They really want to be able to take a look and see, yes, I can see that they have wanting to do this. They read up on this. They really applied themselves. Um, and that will really show your interest in the subject. So the application is important, but once you've been through that first round, I think the first round has a lot to do with having a strong academic background, showing that you have not just skated by, you really love the subject. And that is the only reason I personally feel you would want to further study it. You really love the subject, and any academic background in that will really show it. But once you've been through that stage and you're coming to prepare for the interviews, that's when they really get to know you as a person and not an application.
Yes, amazing.
There are different stages to this. Some institutions go through pre-interviews where essentially you do, if you've applied for a specific supervisor, for example, or a program, and you're being considered by 2 or 3 supervisors in that program, they will send you an email and they'll be like, oh, we should have a talk, kind of like a pre-interview, get to know each other to see if we might be a good fit. So you might get those one-on-one talks and then a second stage of interviews. But mostly I've found in the UK, it tends to be one final round of interviews of candidates with a panel of academics, which will definitely include your supervisor, for example, but also people they might collaborate with who they really trust, that their opinion, and if you had to work with them, they'd be happy to work with you. It's a process. I think it can be very nerve-wracking to have to sit in front of a panel interview. But when you find the right one, it'll be a much more comfortable situation.
Yes, definitely. Very beautifully answered, Melina. So here's this one. I think we can go with the second question. What are the basic requirements for before applying for the PhD entrance exams? Many students have this question in their mind, if they're not having some publications, if they are not from a research background, they can't apply for these programs or PhD programs. So is it this case, or what is the case exactly? We would like to know.
So I think there's a very big debate on this. I think any interest you've shown in the subject previously will definitely be taken into consideration a lot. So if you're not coming from a research background, and I have actually had colleagues who did not come from a research background, but then they took a master's in something very relevant to this in order to be able to immerse themselves a little bit better and adjust themselves to the environment before going on and considering doing a PhD. And I know a master's is not always easy for a lot of people. It can be very expensive. You're not getting paid. You're probably old enough to be getting paid. But what is really good is these 1+3 programs, and they have funding to take you on for the master's and the PhD. And that will give you the opportunity to train essentially first in a research environment before going on to undertake a PhD. So I think a strong academic background is important, but I think it comes naturally with an interest in what you have studied. If it's something different from your original degree, I think inevitably, if you have an interest in it, you will have pursued some work experiences, some connections or lectures from notable people in the field around you, and that will definitely help you along the way. They want to see that you have a genuine passion and interest in what you're going to be doing, because I think a PhD is a big commitment, both to yourself, but the institution. But I think you have to remember that you might be working for an institution, but at the end of the day, the research on a topic is based on your interest about it. It's really what you yourself will keep you moving forward and give you the motivation to really work harder on this. It's not the same. I don't think it's the same as industry. I can't really comment on that because I've never been in industry, but from my colleagues, it's purely based on passion and love for what you do, in comparison to having any kind of monetary incentive. So you are really the person who's going to keep yourself going.
Yes, and what about the publications? Should we have that compulsory?
No, I don't think it's necessary. A
Okay.
lot of people before starting a PhD have not had publications, and that's only natural. I mean, publications are difficult to put together, especially ones which are well researched, thorough. I mean, some reports, mini reports are easier, but nowadays a lot of publications require a lot of figures. Reviewers have a lot of questions, very specific questions that they will ask you then to catch up on. And before you start a PhD, both during your master's and your undergrad, for example, for your dissertations, they have a limited time that you're working on this, and there's no more time. You were working on this for 3 months for your dissertation, and that's it. So often it can be really difficult, but some projects you will have worked on are then taken up by other people in the lab, and you have collaborated to that, and that's something you should be proud of, and you will see it in the future. Publications don't come along every few months for a lot of people, and for most groups actually they require a lot of work and effort and thoroughness to be able to make sure that what we're saying is real. We don't want to make any mistakes, of course. So
Yes.
I think it's not important to have publications. I think it's important to show that you've worked in teams, you know how to appreciate working in a collaborative environment, you can be helpful in that environment as well. And what I found is, like, if you really apply yourself and take part in the team, so you might be new to a team, and over your dissertations in undergrad and masters, you might not know a lot of people in the team, but over time you will adjust to that. And some of the big questions are, did you take part in those lab meetings? Did you ask the difficult questions? Did you ask what you didn't know so you could learn more? And I think
Yes.
people will have really good things to say about you along the way as well. And that will really help you out when it comes to your applications and interviews as well.
Yes, a very amazing answer again. Like we, it will be good. Like if you can tell us about your journey, how did you prepare from your university graduate to this PhD program? So what kind of
Yeah.
thoughts you had in your minds during bachelor's and masters? The masters, no? Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
yes, sir.
so in my bachelor's, I was really passionate about actually doing research. So I would take any opportunity to approach a group or a professor working in the same building, or we had a lecturer, for example, and I really liked their work, and then I emailed them asking if they had any summer positions because I really wanted to learn more and just join their group for any period of time.
Yes.
And that really helped me out along the way to learn different subject areas as well. For example, I worked on a group a little bit on epidemiology, and then I did some immunology. Very much similar, aligning topics to most people, but really not when it comes to the job. So it really gave me a better feel for what I would like to do in the future. And I don't know, I've always liked the academic environment. I've never thought of going into industry, at least for the
Yes.
time being. In my career, I really like the independent research. It really resonates with me. But what I did find is that the world of, well, now biology, but I think the world is changing to be very data driven. So I thought it was really important to take that into consideration for my future career, which is a lot of the reason why I took on the master's in bioinformatics and theoretical systems biology, because they gave us the opportunity to learn coding, to learn maths, all from the beginning, even if you didn't know anything. They really just built it up to a very specialized level, and I thought that was an amazing thing about the program. And I've had people actually who have later applied onto the program approach me on LinkedIn and ask me, oh, I'm so worried that I don't know enough to go into this master's. And I always say, they are going to really help you out and teach you. If you want to do this, they will help you do this if you really dedicate yourself to it. So that was one of the reasons I took on the master's. And then what I did find over the master's is that I missed the wet lab. So I wanted to combine both the wet lab research and the dry lab research. And this PhD, so interdisciplinary, has really helped me do that. So I don't miss either. I get to do both, which is how I came to this.
I see. That's good. In masters and bachelor also you gained some research and you gained some experience in this research, right?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah,
Definitely.
that also creates a
And I
difference.
think, sorry?
That also contributes toward this one.
I think that really makes a difference. It really does. And it's such a pity. I've heard from a lot of undergraduate students, and of course in the COVID-19 pandemic, they haven't had the opportunity to find themselves in labs, especially in biological labs, which have very much to do with hands-on experience. And it's such a pity that they haven't had this opportunity, but it really makes a difference because, first of all, it shows that you've taken an initiative to approach somebody to really do something extra that you didn't have to do in order to get past this degree, for example. It shows a genuine interest, and you're going to learn things that they won't teach you in lectures. It's not for the purpose of passing exams or writing a report. It's really based on making yourself a professional in the field. You will learn how to collaborate with other people who have a lot more experience with you and learn from them. And you will learn to overcome your fears, for example, of asking something you might think is a silly question. And in fact, all of these people have been through exactly the same stages you've been of study. So they really understand what you're going through, and they appreciate you asking questions and really wanting to help them out in their research and just showing an interest in what they do. I think that's been, the work experience has been something that will set you apart. No matter what kind of work experience, absolutely go for it. There's nothing for you to lose. Just approaching people to ask if you can shadow them, if they have anything they can teach you in their lab, they have any positions, anything to train you on a specific technique you might have heard about and you really would like to learn more about, anything like that. And as a PhD student, like I'd still, of course, now we have a very collaborative environment and you have a lot more knowledge in the field, so it's a way more specific process. But I think I found still that, of course, you will never know everything in a field. It's impossible.
Yes.
So you should always approach the person who you've read their papers. They're specialized at this. They will teach you. Once again, no matter how old you become and how much you progress, I think the important thing is just keep on learning.
Amazingly answered. It's not just a podcast. It's about the whole experience you are sharing with us, and this is going to be amazing.
I'm happy to share this experience.
Yes. So let's go to the next question. Some people ask in this doubt, like, did you took help from any consultation services while applying for PhD? If not, what are those best platform that basically helped you?
So I personally did not take up any consultation services. I actually haven't, even from school up to now, but I have a lot of friends who have used the university career hubs. And
Okay.
they've used them to get feedback on their CV and to practice for interviews. And they have had a really good experience with that. I think a lot of the university career hubs, and that is a resource I've used, they have a lot of kind of bullet point advice on their websites on some key points you should be looking at on your CV just to make the layout look very clean, which is important. It can't be very fussy when you're looking at it. I think people who are looking at these applications don't like that. They want something straightforward, you can easily read, not very small writing, they can't read that. So I think it's
Yes.
really great to approach the University Career Hub if you need a lot more help. Definitely, they have a lot of experience, CVs, interviews. They've helped everybody in every career path, whether it's in academia, industry, both in the kind of engineering background, but also in big pharma, finance. They've helped everybody. So they know exactly what interviewers might be looking for.
Yes.
Um, but I think one of the greatest people to approach, and that's what I've done, is people who have friends and other colleagues who have attended the institution you want to go to, or have done a very similar or even the same program, and they will be able to tell you what you can expect from the work culture, from the people, even from the process of application, possibly some go-to questions that interviewers might have. They will have been through the process and they will know how to answer best. But everybody has their own opinion, so you try to get as much of an authentic view from the people who have been through this. And they've been in the same position that you are applying to. So I think they have the best advice than anybody
Yes.
else.
That's amazing answer. Yes. Absolutely. Okay, so here comes to the next question, and it's very important for every PhD candidate. How to choose a potential supervisor for PhD? This one.
I think this is an extremely important step. It will set the tone for your entire 3 or 4 years. I think you can't do that online. It happens naturally during the interview process, I would say, from my experience, where both the supervisor and the student get to know each other and discover how their conversation would flow and might look like over the next few years. It is really difficult to do this online, and I absolutely feel for everybody who has not had the opportunity to meet the potential supervisor one-on-one. They are people like everybody else. There's a conversation flow that you need to experience to be able to tell if that'll be a good fit for both of you, because the interview process is as much you getting to know them as much as them getting to know how your brain works and whether they think you would fit in both with their idea of the project but the group as a whole, because every supervisor really comes with an entire group behind them. And it's so important to have a good working relationship with the group. They are the people you have in your everyday life. They are going to make your lab life so much more enjoyable, and you have to be a good fit for that. And a supervisor will be able to tell for themselves. So sometimes that's the reason they do pre-interviews, to kind of get a feel for you and whether you would match up really nicely.
Okay. Okay, that's good. How did you?
One thing it
How did
can,
you?
sorry.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
One thing it can be helpful to do is, of course, we can go through the interview process if you like, but it's really important that as much as you are going to prepare for your interview, that you really get to know your panelists, and you're going to know who they are before they're going to let you know who's going to be on that panel. And it's definitely going to be your supervisor, but the more you know about them, I think the better. So you have kind of a footing for conversation as well. If it's not only questions towards you, but you have questions you want to ask them. And it's important to ask them questions. Ask them questions about the university, the program, the project, maybe anything you want to know more about it. But a lot of the time they've done podcasts and lectures online, and that can be really useful to know where their mind is at in terms of research. So like, what is their most keen interest? that can help out a lot.
Yes. How did you choose your supervisor? Offline or in person? You just met.
So, of course, initially you apply to projects, and a lot of the time they're not program based, they are um, based on a specific question, a topic. And that is how I initially chose the PhD I'm on right now. I was really interested in the question. I thought, wow, this is really at the forefront over there. It's combining what I want to do. Um, and I really love that about it. But then I think the interview process really sealed it for me. We had a really great time at the interview. It was a very comfortable interview, and I had been on panels before where it had been more uncomfortable, more, everybody was a lot more tight-lipped. It was a very professional interview, but I still had so much fun getting to know the supervisors and everybody on the panel, and I think that is really going to show you if you're going to have a good working relationship with everybody.
Yes. Yeah, that's good. Okay, let's go to the next question. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
how does PhD from a big institute, let's say a top 10 university or top 10 institutes in the world, creates a difference to other universities or institutes and which are coming under 500? So will it be will it create a huge difference, or what is and also will it actually create a difference? What do you think? What are your thoughts about this?
I think a PhD anywhere has the same value. It is
Okay.
an absolute testament to your dedication and enthusiasm of your subject. It's a big
Yes.
undertaking. But one great thing about the big institutes is they are so organized. There's a lot of technology available to you and materials at your disposal. And most importantly, it's such a strong collaborative environment. You're going to meet a lot of people at any university, but at some of the larger universities, there is a larger diversity. There are a lot of groups working on absolutely everything under the stars. So you might have an idea, you might not know who to go to about a technique. You will find somebody at one of the big universities that will know or have used this before, and you can approach them with that. And I think that's what I really like about it. It's so amazing to meet these people, and sometimes you've read all their papers and you meet them and they're so normal like human beings that you're like, oh my god, you did this amazing thing and I've read everything. I know everything about it.
Yeah.
It's really nice to kind of discover how they think and meet them. So I think you have the opportunity at the big institutes to never have somebody tell you, oh, we don't have this machinery to do what you're looking to do, kind of thing. But I think from any university, the good thing about a PhD is that you can approach people at other institutions that might know, and you can visit them as a visiting student and learn from them. Even if it's a 2 or 3 day thing, I think a PhD really gives you the opportunity to do that as well. It doesn't restrict you to a specific university. That's why I say that it has the same value anywhere you get it.
Yeah, anywhere we get basically what we do in those 3 or 5 years is going to make a difference, and what kind of supervisor or what kind of relationship we have with the supervisor is going to create a difference. And that's directly correlated to the research what we do.
Yes,
That's good.
absolutely. The supervisor and the team you picked will very much have to suit you as a person and your personality and your day-to-day life, because it sets the tone for, of course, your research, but also how happy you're going to be when you're doing it. And I think a lot of PhD students, I've heard from friends as well, that they've struggled with that in the past, and it really sets the tone for all those years. It's an amazing
Yes.
thing to have a good relationship with the team.
Yes. Okay, that's good. Oh, okay. So next question we have is that what does institute expect from a fresher or a bachelor or a master candidate if they apply for that one? What do they expect?
So I think it really depends on your background and what stage you are at. When you're going into the masters, They really want to know why you're doing this. It's an additional qualification. It's not something you have to do. So they want
Yes.
to know what is the end game for you. Like why are you looking to do this? Why are we investing this time and effort
Yes.
into you? Do you want to pursue a degree in academia? Do you have a particular interest in an aspect of this topic, like bioinformatics, for example? Do you want to learn more genomics or proteomics? Have you thought this through, or is this something you're doing as a fallback? And they don't want to see that. Absolutely not. They want to know that they're putting the time and effort into this to teach you, but that you are also going to take that in. And it's demanding content. A master's isn't like a bachelor's degree, I think. It gets harder, and the study is so much more independent that inevitably, if you don't want to learn, you can't be in there. You have to really know what you are looking to get out of the course so that they can see that too. And you can take that in and then obviously build upon that. If you want to go into academia and pursue a PhD after that, you will take everything you have learned and apply it further. If you're looking to go into industry in the same way, they kind of expect that it will be in a relevant subject so that you will take what you learn and apply it further.
So the last question here is that what are those tips or strategies you would like to suggest here to our audience, so that you can tell me about your how we can prepare for a CV, research proposal, and other how do we approach our master thesis advisor for a reference letter or something else, and what are these things are important. Like you can just give a brief idea how we are going to do that, so that it will create an edge over other candidates who are not watching this one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think one thing I would say is, in your personal statements and your interviews, always be professional, but be yourself. Don't try to be anybody else, because in your personal interactions with people, they will be able to tell if you are being genuine, honest about your answers, about how you see yourself in the next 5 or 10 years. I think it's really important that they get a feel for you as much as you get a feel for them. And the only way to do that is to really be honest, especially in interviews. And that does not mean don't be professional. Absolutely keep yourself very professional. But for example, I've been asked in an interview question, and I think this is one of the weirdest interview questions I've ever gotten. How would your friends describe you in 3 words? And I was really stumped at that point. But all they really want to do is get to know you, really you, because they will have to work with you. You will have to work with them. They want to make sure you are a good fit. It's so important to be a good fit. You can't be a person who absolutely agrees with everything other people say. That is not critically thinking. They want to see that you have genuine thoughts. When it comes to references and asking for references, and I know some people are a little bit scared of doing that, I would say be polite in your emails when asking for references, but also give people a deadline and all the information you need to write your reference in one email. Be organized about it. I mean, for example, what are you applying for? Why are you applying? So they can better adjust the reference letter if they know what you're applying to do. And people are busy, especially for professors and supervisors. They're very busy. So you need to put a deadline on, so they can put this into their schedule. You can't be vague about it. So, but always give them the time. You need to give it to them 2 to 3 weeks in advance to make sure that they will be able to take it into consideration along with their work. So I think it's good to be considerate. We know they have a lot more of their work going on, so be polite, be considerate, but also be concise. So they know all the
Yes.
information they need, and they're not chasing you up to ask you further information.
Yes, that's good. You give us like a very good information. If we are going for reference, we need to put some deadline so that they'll come to know. Okay, that's a deadline. We cannot prove beyond that. And also, Okay, this is amazing. Can you just like give us a brief talk about how we can basically prepare a research proposal for PhDs?
So it depends on the program. It depends how extensive the research proposal has to be. A lot of the time, when you start a program, and that's what we have at ICL, you in the first 3 months you will have to write a research proposal to make sure that you know what the question is, what the direction is, previous research that was done on this, so you can definitely take that into consideration, and then very clear aims and how you're going to go about them. So this is the way I write research proposals. And I mean, if you have to do that prior to your interview process, prior to actually starting your PhD, I think it's important not to waffle in your text. So it's really important that you set out a clear introduction of the topic at hand without getting very, very technical about it. They want to see that you've read around the topic, that you are aware of its facets, and then make sure that you take into consideration any related research, any related works by other people, and how did they pursue that? Was there anything that you would change, that you would do differently? Be critical about it. And after that, then you can bring your question in, what is the core of this research, and then set out some aims and how you would go about them, and break it down, because very, very long aims are very difficult to understand. They really want to see your thought process, and that's what they're looking for, the thought process, just to make sure that you understand what it is that you are looking at.
Yeah, that's amazing. So questions are completed. Is there anything you want to pass on through this message? You can.
I think one thing that is really important for people to do is to talk to people in the positions that they would like to be in. It is the people you will absolutely learn from. There's no point not to. There's nothing for you to lose. So yes, definitely do that. And the great thing nowadays is that we have social media, like we have LinkedIn, which is a professional space, in addition to every emailing service. But that is a really great space to be able to approach people you might not have met in the past, but you have a common interest with and that you want to know more from. And I can guarantee that the majority of people in academia will definitely reply, especially PhDs and postdocs. Everybody's very keen to help everybody
Okay.
else wanting to get into
Yes,
this.
that's good. That's amazing. Okay, Melina, thanks for joining the podcast. This is very amazing to talk to you, and we have so many questions in our mind, and all got cleared. And still, if we will be having any doubt in our mind, we'll approach you through your LinkedIn or your profiles and social media. Will it be fine?
Absolutely. Please do. Thank you so much for inviting me, Ajay.
Yeah, thank you very much. Okay, let's end it.